Hello, my name is Jim Vernon. I teach philosophy at York University in Toronto, Canada. And I'd like to introduce my Theory, Culture, and Society paper, Huey Newton's Lessons for the Academic Left. When Huey Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party, their goal in part was to connect the radical theorizing at sub-college campuses in the mid-1960s with the concrete struggles of the lumpen proletariat abandoned by the so-called Great Society. As Seale puts it, they initially aimed to draw strengths in the university on the one hand, while organizing the grassroots in the community on the other. Much of their early recruitment took place on and around college campuses, and the party's political education classes featured many of the same texts broadly consumed by the era's student radicals. However, shortly after forming the party, Newton began to harshly criticize the academic left in general for their drive to find what he called a set of actions and a set of principles that are easy to identify and are absolute. This tendency, Newton argued, not only risked hardening into a dogmatic, rigid, binary us versus them stance that Newton called flunkyism, it more importantly deepened the distance between progressive theorists and those most in need of emancipatory thought, by encouraging those in academic and other leadership positions to conceive of their role primarily as one of instruction, rather than genuine and responsive engagement with the communities in whose name they purportedly spoke. Newton called this temptation revolutionary cultism, and he readily admits it was one into which the Panthers occasionally fell. Focusing on his disputes with the cultural nationalism that dominated black student unions during the later 1960s, and the socialist internationalism that prevailed among collegiate whites, my article reconstructs Newton's critique of political movements grounded primarily in academic debates, as well as his conception of the nature and role of a genuine theoretical vanguard. Drawing upon Newton's own evolving theoretical practice, I argue that what we normally call political or critical theory is perhaps better understood as a set of competing hypotheses concerning the contradictions that determine social life and the modes of their redress. These hypotheses, much like scientific ones, can only really become theories by testing them against the relevant data set, which in the case of emancipatory thought can only be the people themselves, who will decide whether it reflects or guides their struggle to determine their own interests by mobilizing themselves to transform their lived situation. In this paper, I argue that Newton's grasp of revolution as a gradual, open, revisable, and above all dialectical process not only provides a corrective to many dominant academic accounts of the nature of progressive change, but more importantly serves as a stark reminder that a theory is only emancipatory if it can actually help direct collective struggle. It also defends Newton from some recent critiques by scholars like Adolph Reed and Cedric Johnson, who associate the Panthers with the resurgent identity politics that dominates the contemporary academic and academic-led activist scenes. Ultimately, the paper argues for the necessity of a theoretical vanguard because, as Newton puts it, if we do not make the people aware of the tools and methods of liberation, there will be no means by which the people can mobilize. However, it also argues that the actual tools and methods of liberation can only truly be determined if we continuously base our theorizing on the fact that dropouts understand things students don't. If you're interested, I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for listening.